Hello spooky friends, and welcome back to a brand new video. You can probably tell I am way overly excited for today's video because Halloween time, of course next to Christmas, is my favorite time on YouTube, and I'm so excited to bring you guys into my home and just spookify my house. I am already decorated for fall, so we're just going to be mixing things up and just very simply integrating Halloween. I'm definitely going for more of a sophisticated, spooky Halloween this year, and I just love how it all comes out. So I'm so excited to share this video. But the other thing I'm just so excited about is that today's video is actually going to be a spooky playlist with some of my closest girlfriends here on YouTube, and we will be actually coming together. So after this video, it'll go to one of their videos and so on and so forth. It'll be about 4 or 5 videos in today's playlist, and we're all going to be doing something Halloween inspired. So it's either going to be cleaning and decorating, or just decorating, or doing some Halloween inspired spooky recipes. We're each going to be telling a spooky story. I cannot wait to share mine with you all, but I hope that kind of gives you an idea of what to expect in today's video. I have been waiting to share this with you all. I'm just so happy that the day is finally here. So go ahead and grab yourself a cup of coffee or maybe a cup of apple cider, and let's dive right in. So far, you guys have seen me start to pull out a couple of the main items that I want to start decorating with. I love doing that. That way I just don't get too overwhelmed with pulling every single thing out. I can just pull out a few items at a time when I section out my house. So we're going to start here in my little entryway, and we did some very light straightening up in the family room because this is the area we're going to be focusing on in today's video. Is my entryway in the main family room, and then we will be doing a little bit on the sideboard in my dining room, but there will definitely be a second video coming to finish the dining room and do my kitchen and some other areas of my home. But I just wiped down this mirror, and I'm moving in with some of this creepy cloth. I wanted to just very organically drape it over the mirror, and I love to make this space almost like a witch that can easily grab her things going out the door, or hang her items up when she's coming home. So I have these little witch brooms, this Halloween colored scarf, and then I'm going to be putting out my fall hats that I actually wear. And these are all just like simple items out of my closet or that I picked up from Target. And these little witch brooms I've had for years, and they are from the Target dollar spot. So I just want everything to look very real, as if, you know, this was a witch's entryway. I know you're probably seeing everyone do these bats. They're one of my favorite touches of Halloween I do in my home. I've actually been doing these the last few years, so I had some left over from last year, and then I also purchased a new pack because even though you can reuse the bats, the sticky part to actually put these on the wall can only be used once, and I knew that I wanted to put these bats over my fireplace area because I feel like that is such a main focal point in the room. And then I'm thinking about also putting them in my kitchen, maybe in my dining room area. So I just wanted to get some extra to have on hand because I feel like, you know, you can really not have enough bats. They just make such a big impact in your home, especially if you want to decorate and keep it very subtle and simple. Just putting a few bats on your walls like this with some pumpkins can go a really long way and make a huge statement. So a lot of this video is going to be pretty much self-explanatory. I am moving around decorating. You're going to see me put things up, see if I like it, swap it out, move it around, which I've already moved things around since filming this video. So you want to make sure you stick around until my home tour. That's where everything will kind of land where it's going to stay for the season. So just because you're seeing me put it in this spot in this video does not mean that it stays there. Even just looking here at this shot, this looks different than it does right here. So definitely stick around for upcoming videos to see where everything lands. But we're just going to be moving our way around the downstairs and doing decorating, and just kind of be patient with me. I feel like this is definitely a process, and I have to kind of live with things for a minute to see how I like it, because change is really hard for me. So I don't necessarily know if I love it or hate it without actually having to stare at it for a little bit. But I wanted to bring up the spooky story that I'm going to be telling in today's video. Now, just a heads up, none of this is like going to give you nightmares or like overly scary or anything like that. I decided to actually go with a semi-local spooky story. So if you guys are new here, I'm Katie. I do a lot of lifestyle and homemaking content here on my channel, but I love, love, love Halloween and obsessed with Christmas. So I decided, why not go ahead and make this Halloween season a little bit more fun and bring in a little bit more me into my channel. And by that is what I mean, I decided to look up local stories to my surrounding areas. So I'm in Southern California in the Temecula Valley, which is in Riverside County near San Diego. But the spooky story I found today is actually based out of San Bernardino County. I know I have a lot of local viewers on here, so shout out to you, but most specifically the Calico ghost town. We'll have the actual article linked down below in the description box. I want to make sure I give due credit to the author that wrote this article, but I did find it on the Legends of America website, so I will have that link down below because it will go into much greater detail. It also has photos. I also wanted to add that I actually was in Calico camping here. I will flash some photos on the screen because I think it's really, really cool to kind of place somebody in the area that they're talking about. I find that very fascinating. But if you guys are unfamiliar with Calico, it's a small mining town, and they would mine mostly silver, and it all began back in 1875. So they first found silver on a slope in the Calico Mountains, but it wasn't until about 5 years later did additional discoveries come through. And then that all kind of spiraled into a small rush, and then people started building their own claims in that area. Fast forward to about 1881, and they had one of the richest mines in the area called Silver King. And less than a year later, the settlement supported several businesses on a commercial street flanked by tents, adobe buildings, and a narrow mesa. And that kind of started to slowly build up the town. So Calico actually appeared in 1882 in like a weekly newspaper, and that's where the word got out. And by spring 1883, there was a lot of people starting to come into the area. Business started booming. They actually discovered borax in this area, which is a fun fact. I know a lot of you use borax to clean, which I thought was really, really fascinating. But later that same year in 1883, there was a huge fire that swept through and destroyed a lot of the camp. And it wasn't until about 1884 did they kind of start regaining population. And I believe they built up their population to about 2,500 people. And they started building saloons and kind of more like dive bars. And then a little bit later, they established a church, a public school, a dance school, and just started to build society. By the late 1800s, Calico was bustling with prospectors searching for fortune, and the Calico mining district became one of the richest in the state of California. So during its heyday, they would produce approximately 86 million in silver and approximately 45 million in borax. Due to silver and borax dropping in value, unfortunately, Calico did become a ghost town, But in 1950, there was a man called Walter Knott, and if you guys are familiar with Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park, California, it is actually the same owner. He actually discovered Calico as a boy and spent a lot of time there, and his uncle even lived there, so it kind of had a special place in his heart. And so he actually came in and started to rebuild attractions and make it more of a destination. But to mention the ghosts of Calico, as you can see, there's a lot of rich history there. One of the most often cited spirits goes by the name of Lucy Bell King Lane, and she's a woman who spent nearly 70 years of her life in Calico. So when Lucy was just 10 years old, she moved there with her parents. She had 2 brothers and a sister, and they overlooked the town of Calico. So to get to school, she would have to slide down a steep slope in the morning and make a long hike up the hill after school. At the age of 18, Lucy actually met and married her husband, John, and they continued to open up some general stores and would provide the majority of the provisions there in Calico. But in 1934, her husband, John, actually died, and Lucy actually lived to be the age of 93. She died in 1967, but even though she died decades ago, there's still a rumor that she's very fond of her old town and she could still be sighted around the Calico ghost town. People claim that she can be seen walking between their old store and their home where she lived until she actually died. And they describe her to be wearing a long black dress, most likely the lace one that she was buried in. And her favorite rocking chair has also been said to rock all on its own. They also say that the pictures that are on the wall are taken off in the middle of the night and found the next morning on a neat little pile on the floor. So I thought that was really creepy. But at the Lane's old general store, clerks have heard unexplainable noises. They catch movement out of the corner of their eyes. So they usually just assume that's Lucy. But there is another spirit that they say haunts more of like the schoolhouse area, and that sits atop of the hill in Calico. And people have reported seeing a little girl, maybe about 11 or 12 years old, smiling through the window and even leans out and waves at passerbys. Now, to hear this part of the story gave me full-on chills because I will put the picture here on the screen. I've actually been to that schoolhouse and walked all around Calico Ghost Town because it is a very big tourist destination. They have all kinds of stores and shows, a little railroad, hours and hours of entertainment. But when I heard that part of the story, it just like totally gave me chills. But not only that, there has also been reports of small children that are known to grab people's legs or pinch their ankles, and some visitors have also reported seeing a floating red light inside the school. Now, there are so many different stories of haunts in the Calico Ghost Town, but I thought I would go ahead and just share one more little quick one because I thought it was kind of sweet. And I don't know about you, but anytime I watch something scary or spooky, I love to follow it up with something funny or lighthearted. So I thought that this little section of haunts about the town would be so perfect to do that here in my video. So there is another very famous resident, and that is Dorsey. She was actually a mail carrying dog. She was actually found in 1883 by Jim Stacy, and she just approached him and she was hungry. I think maybe she was lost and she was just laying on his porch. Jim Stacy quickly adopted him and named him Dorsey, and they became best friends. But before he was actually a postmaster, Jim was actually interested in a mine nearby. So on occasion, Jim would need to get an urgent message to people up at the mine. So he would tie a note to Dorsey's neck and would send him up to the mines. And then Dorsey would actually return with a reply. So he was kind of going back and forth delivering messages. And soon he had an idea to actually make Dorsey the dog a regular mail carrier. So that's how Dorsey actually became a mail carrier for the US mail. So I thought that was really, really cool. But there are occasions that people still claim that they see Dorsey as a shadow-like apparition at the cemetery or near the print shop, which is actually located right next to the post office. So I thought that was a really, really sweet story to kind of wrap up these haunts here at the Calico Ghost Town here in California. And I hope you guys enjoyed those little simple stories. I also hope this reminds you to explore your own backyard. Calico is about an hour and a half from me, and it's in the middle of the desert. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. So we do a lot of off-road camping out there with like our dirt bikes and razors and side-by-sides. It is absolutely beautiful, but can get very, very hot. So we usually camp out there around October, November, which I love because there's so much rich history. And we usually take a full day to take a break from riding motorcycles and stuff like that to go explore the ghost town. So I hope you guys just remember to maybe explore your own backyards. There's so much rich history around us. And I mean, who knows how much of these, ghost stories are true. But I think it's just still really fun and entertaining. And I really loved reading about this neat mining town. But if you guys have any neat historical places around you, I would love for you to let me know down in the comments. I love history. I love spooky. I love geeking out to all of that stuff, architecture, and just like how life got where it was today. I know life used to be so hard, and those people paved a way for it to be easier for us today. But let me know what you guys thought of those spooky stories. Like I said, they're not over the top scary, but enough to kind of maybe give you chills. And it was so fun being able to share those with you guys. We have been decorating away here in the family room, and as you can see, I'm kind of taking things away that I used to decorate for fall, but still leaving some and just adding these cute little Halloween touches. I do have two boys, Rylan and Colton. They are in elementary school, so I do love to, still keep it fun and lighthearted and nothing too spooky and over the top. And I just wanted them to make these core memories and remembering how I used to deck out the house for fall and Halloween and for Christmas. And I definitely have fond memories of my mom doing it. Maybe that's where I got it from. But we worked on the entryway, my bench in the front window with my skeleton, and then the shelving. We hung up the witch hats. We did the mantle. We added some pillows to the couch, and now we're just doing a Halloween inspired coffee table. Now that I decorated this and watching it back, I feel like it almost looks like a witch's maybe like work desk where she's got some of her apothecary and her skulls, or maybe she can work on some of her spells. Now I do have a full decor haul on my channel. I will link it down below if you are interested in seeing where I got a lot of this stuff. But I know some of this stuff I picked up after that haul, and the Sanderson Sister notebook and the Black Flame candle I actually picked up from my local Spirit Halloween store. Now I can't say that they'll have any left because I feel like that store, if you don't get in there early, everything is gone. But in case you guys were curious, that's where I got the Sanderson Sister notebook and also the Black Flame candle. Actually, the Hocus Pocus movie came out yesterday when you guys are watching this, but doing my voiceover, it comes out tomorrow. We're going to make a whole thing of it. So let me know if you guys have watched it yet down below. If you guys are Hocus Pocus fans, I cannot wait to watch it, and I'll have to touch base with you guys in one of my upcoming videos. And I'm really, really hoping that they did not butcher this remake. I just love how the family room came together, but now it's time to move in to, this is my dining room area, but we're not actually doing like my dining room table or anything. This is the sideboard, which we're gonna come in here and put some light touches of Halloween. We're not doing a whole lot. I feel like a little bit goes a long way right here because it's so easy to make your house look and feel cluttered when you bring in holiday decor like this. So I'm definitely into the creepy cloth. So I love draping these over my lamps. It just gives them more of like a haunted house feel. And then like you guys saw on the last shade, I added some spiders, but these I'm just leaving because you won't see the spiders because these ones are black. But we're gonna do a couple very, very, very easy DIYs here. And a lot of this stuff I already had, so I'm hoping you guys have some of this stuff on hand too. But I got a new cauldron from Target. I think actually technically it's a punch bowl because it came with a ladle, but I feel like you could fill it with Halloween candy, or you can do a nice little Halloween DIY like I'm gonna do here. Now I'm actually just going to take my diffuser and place it inside. Now I also wanted to mention, I know you can drill a hole in the back to run the cord through, but I didn't want to be committed to this cauldron only being like this. I wanted to be able to maybe use it for punch in the future or for candy or for other things, so I didn't want a hole in it. So I just disguised the wire, and honestly you can't even see it. But we're going to put some pumpkin pie essential oil in this diffuser and then just place it into the cauldron, and this is going to cause like a steam effect. And then we're going to let that diffuser start diffusing, and we're going to add a little skeleton that I also picked up from Target. And then I already had some of the spiderweb cotton on hand, and we're just gonna make this skeleton look like he's taking a little steam bath. The spooky trees you see right here, those are also from the, I always say Target dollar spot, but I think it's the Bullseye Playground. But I got those this year from there. I love them. I feel like I need 10 more so I can just put them all over my house. But I just added those to the sideboard along with this pottery vase that I already had, and I added some fall foliage. And then this is another really simple, close to nothing DIY. I just went on Etsy, and I will have this link down below, and purchased a vintage Halloween collection gallery. And then I have 2 of these frames here that I never put anything in. And so for less than $5, I was able to purchase these vintage prints of witches. And since I already owned these frames, I just added the pictures, and it was a really, really cheap DIY because I didn't print it from a store or anything like that. I just printed it on regular computer paper on my printer at home and just cut them out and put them in the frames, and it just added that special little touch. Let's mix up some trick or treats together. I'm going to be sharing a couple super simple Halloween treats, and then also a couple Halloween cocktails that will be at the very end of this video. But these are what I love to call my ghosty Madelines. All I did was pick up some Madeline cookies that were pre-made from my local grocery store, and then I got some vanilla candy coating chocolate and followed the directions and melted that down a little bit at a time and stirred in between. And then all you're gonna need is some of the sprinkle googly eyes. I just picked mine up from my local super Target, but you could easily get them on Amazon as well. And all you're gonna do is take your Madeline cookies and dip them into the white chocolate coating, and then you're going to add little googly eyes and let those harden. There is no right or wrong way to do this. I did some of the eyes far apart, some close together, kind of one higher, one a little bit lower, and I love it kind of gave them their own little look and personality. And these were a huge hit. I actually made these last year as well and shared them on my Instagram in my reels, and they were a huge hit. So let me know if you guys will be making these this year. Again, super simple. You can throw them together really quick before you go out the door. The next treat I want to share with you, they are actually called pumpkin pie twists, and you're just going to grab some of the Pillsbury crescent rolls. You're gonna need some brown sugar, some pumpkin pie spice, cinnamon sugar mixture, some maple syrup, and some butter. And don't forget the pumpkin puree, which is what we're actually going to start out with. So we're going to make our pumpkin pie filling first, and as you can see, it's just a few ingredients. If things get too complicated, I move on, but I can assure you that these were very, very simple. So I'm just adding in my brown sugar and then the other ingredients that need to go in the filling, and then we will roll out our dough and make these twists. Once you have your dough set out into little rectangles, you're just going to put your pumpkin pie filling almost as if you were putting pizza sauce on a pizza, and you can put as little or as much as you want. I kind of did a medium amount because this was the first time I was making these. I wasn't sure how strong or sweet they were going to be, so I didn't get too crazy with the filling. But once your filling's on there, you're just going to top it with another rectangle of the crescent dough. And then I got my pizza slicer and then cut them vertically into strips. Here comes the fun part. You're going to grab your dough and just twist and make them into sweet little twists. And while I was doing all this, I was preheating the oven to 375, and it said to bake these for 10 minutes, but I noticed that my oven does bake quickly, so it took less than 10. So I wouldn't walk away with these from these or get too busy, or you might burn them. The dough bakes really, really quickly. But before we actually put these in the oven, I'm going to brush on some melted butter, and then we're going to sprinkle on some cinnamon and sugar. While those were in the oven, I checked my Ghostly Madeline cookies and they were nice and hardened, so I'm just going to display them on this cute little rustic plate. And then when the pumpkin pie twists were done, I put those out on a plate as well. Now the recipe does call for dipping these in whipped cream, and I highly recommend that you do so, because as amazing as they are without the whipped cream, they taste almost identical to pumpkin pie when you dip them in the cream. So as you can see, there's little hands here, and they smelled I was in the kitchen, and they came right down and got their spooky little hands on these treats. The last easy dessert I wanted to share with you all are just little pumpkin spice cakes, but I'm going to make them super special because I'm going to be baking them in this skeleton tin that I picked up from Target. And this is just in their Halloween section. They have a nice little baking section with like baking batters and icing and treat bags and sprinkles and frosting and all the fun things. So that's where I got this cake mix and the skeleton baking sheet. So just following the directions on the box, I just put some of the dry ingredients along with oil and eggs, and we're just going to whisk this up and put them into the tins and bake them. I think this called for 20 minutes. Again, I don't know exactly how long I had them in there for. I just watched them, but my oven does bake fast, so I always just kind of hang out until they're finished and just check them intermittently. But don't forget, once you fill your baking pan, to tap it gently on the counter. You want to make sure everything settles in to the crevices. That way you get a nice shape and they actually look like the skeleton when you pull them out. And then I'm just going to throw these into the oven, and I can't wait to share with you guys what they look like. They came out so good. So there's no fancy after with these. You could actually even drizzle icing or add eyeballs or whatever you want to these. But as you can see, these are just on the cooling tray, and they never made it off the cooling tray without being eaten. So these were gone that night, but you can definitely decorate these up more. Just my family could not keep their hands off of them. The next thing I wanted to share with you guys is more of a fall inspired cocktail, but definitely very Halloween-y. We're going to be making some apple cider mimosas. Now these were absolutely delicious, and they weren't overly sweet, but just had a little bit of sweetness, enough to make it a very enjoyable cocktail. So go ahead and just pick out your favorite champagne. I already had this one on hand, and then a nice fresh pressed apple cider. This is the Good and Gather brand from Target. And then I'm just going to be using my cinnamon sugar mix again, and I'm going to rim this champagne glass with the cinnamon and sugar, and then put in some of the diced up apples. And then I did about half apple cider and half champagne, and there you go. You got a nice, easy, festive cocktail. The other cocktail is my favorite of the two. Now these are both absolutely delicious, but this one was just amazing. Highly recommend. And it's still very easy to throw together. So this is actually called a Beetlejuice margarita. That name just alone is amazing. But I'm just doing a shot of Casadora's tequila with 1 shot blue curacao and then a shot of fresh lime juice. And then this may look weird, but you can put edible glitter gel into this cocktail. I didn't have any, so I just added the green sugar sprinkles along with some pineapple juice. And then I'm going to slice up this lime, and we're going to mix up this cocktail. We're also going to rim this glass. The recipe called for black salt, but my grocery store didn't have black salt, and I already had this black sugar sprinkles, and I would prefer the sugar on the rim over the salt anyways. So that's what I did. You're just gonna pour over your cocktail, and boom, you've got an amazing Beetlejuice cocktail. That's going to do it for today's video. We got so much Halloween inspired decorating and recipes shoved into this one, along with spooky stories. Don't forget to go say hello to the other ladies in this playlist. They will have all kinds of Halloween content and spooky stories over on their videos today, and I'm so excited to share them all with you. They're some of my favorite people in the whole entire world. And other than that, friends, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!